For 60 minutes, put all the things aside and then sit quietly as you gently close your eyes and listen to my soothing voice in the background. For these 60 minutes, you have nowhere to go, nothing to do. You are completely in the present and your body is relaxed. Your body is peaceful. You can feel your face, muscles relaxing. And for some time, release the past, release the future, and having complete trust in the present, breathe with complete freedom. Breathing in with that trust and freedom of the present, where the body is peaceful, the mind is in the present, and the breath is gentle, peaceful, and you are observing your breath. Observing your breath. Prepare the mind to be concentrated, to be focused. Observe the mind becoming slow and relaxed. And as you breathe, observe the movement of your belly, the chest muscles, relax completely in the present, in the now. Relax completely. I will chant one traditional prayer of yoga. You may just sit and listen to my voice. It is in Sanskrit, so you may not understand. But the feeling is of joy. The feeling is to move towards knowledge. So bring that in your heart and simply enjoy the traditional Sanskrit yoga prayer or mantra. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Sahaviryam Bharvavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. Hari Om. We can all chant Om once if you wish. Take a nice deep breath in. Om. And then slowly, very slowly, blinking your eyes, take your time to gently open bit by bit. And you can take your time to look around at the shapes, at the colors of your walls, the things in your room. Feel more concentrated and focused. And then now, looking at the screen, I will once more request, if you can, switch on your videos. It's so nice to bring a feeling of love, kindness, unity, trust when we look at each other, especially when we are studying, learning, sharing something so beautiful. And we need that human connection. We need eye contact. We need that trust, that love. So why not take this opportunity to connect with each other? So you can trust me and you can switch on your video. It would be so nice to know who you are when I'm talking to you. Great. So then, friends, today we have all met, and the credit, a big thanks, goes to our Wise Living Yoga Academy collaborators or our family members who are globally present all around the world to help us to spread traditional yoga. So a big thanks to all of our Wise Living Yoga family to make this happen. Well, some of you have joined from different parts of the world today because you want to know that what is the traditional yoga training that we are going to soon start in the month of April. So you want to know, what is this traditional yoga? So you have come with this one focus. And therefore, I thought to give this webinar or this class a name, Traditional Yoga versus Modern Yoga. And in this particular class of 60 minutes, I would like to enlighten you that how the traditional yoga has changed into modern yoga. And today, in most of the trainings, in lots and lots of yoga classes, we are missing on this essence of traditional yoga. So then, we must know the traditional yoga in detail, that what is this traditional yoga and why we are not exposed to it, and is modern yoga good or is it not good? In what ways we are lagging behind when it comes to the pure understanding of yoga? So I'm here, Jeenal Mehta. I was born in a traditional Indian family and studied yoga since my childhood. Not only studied, but also lived a life of yoga since my childhood and learned from various Indian masters, monks, and I have trained over 10,000 people across the globe in more than 200 international yoga teacher trainings, traveled all around to teach yoga. And my main focus is to bring traditional yoga, the real yoga, which the world is losing today because yoga has become extremely commercial to such an extent that we have lost the real essence and the ethics and the principles of yoga. So, in order to understand yoga, let us go back to the history in brief. Yes, I will request our friends to switch off their mics, please. Okay, so let us go back into the history of yoga, that how everything started and how did yoga come into picture. So for that, you have to understand the Indian subcontinent, okay, which was originally called as Bharata. Okay, the name India has been given by the Britishers to us, but originally in our own language, in Sanskrit language, India is called as Bharata. Okay, I have typed in the chat. So if I'm going to use Sanskrit words, I will put there in the chat for you, and then you can note it down. So the original word of India is Bharata. And several years before, and I could say maybe 5,000 years before, or even prior, okay, Bharata was a huge continent. It was like a continent. And there were so many other countries as well within this continent of Bharata. It was not only limited to what we see today in the map. And in this Indian subcontinent, Bharata, a knowledge was born from the source, origin. Now, this date from where this knowledge came is not traceable. We don't know the date, and we don't know the origin, that from where this knowledge came. But it came and it is still preserved. And this knowledge, which is very vast, extremely vast, that you cannot put into books, this knowledge, this body of knowledge is called as Veda. You can note it down. Again, I will put it here in the chat. Veda. So when I'm saying 5,000 years before, I'm just giving you a mental image of the Indian subcontinent. Okay, but the Veda, which is the original body of knowledge, is extremely old, not 5,000, maybe 10,000, 20,000, 50,000. We don't know how old it is, but it is ancient. And we don't know the source, but we have that knowledge with us. In these years, maybe 10,000, 5,000 years of history. I will again request friends. The thing is that, you know, when I'm speaking, the voice gets mixed up. So I will request Vanessa Champion, could you please kindly switch off your mic? And Marie the Remy, can you also kindly switch off your mic? I would be very obliged, very grateful. Kindly switch off the mic, Mary and Vanessa, please. No. Julie, can you request Marie to switch off her mic? And also Vanessa. These technical issues.
Jeenal, you know that you can actually mute someone else's.
I'm not able to.
You're not?
I'm not able to. No, I can't. That's why. Okay, I will just need to. Mary, can you switch off the mic? Can you see the mic somewhere? You can switch off.
Louise?
Also, Evans, please switch off your mic. Okay. Well, so Veda is the body of knowledge, the original body of knowledge. In this Veda, all knowledge about science, physics, chemistry, biology, also language, art, grammar, human relationships and psychology, environment, geography, astronomy, astrology, surgery, food, medicine. You can go on. This body of knowledge contains a lot of information about various aspects of life, from art to architecture, from science to mathematics, from psychology to astronomy and astrology. You can go on. But unfortunately, what happened is that in all these years, India, Bharata, this subcontinent, had to face lots of invaders. Invaders came into the country and they not only stole this knowledge, but they destroyed. If you trace back in time, around 2,000, 5,000 years before, not only 2,000, but just recently, 1,000 years before, you would see the attack from the invaders was so gruesome, so cruel, that hundreds of universities were burnt. And in these hundreds of universities, which were ancient traditional universities, also several books were burnt continuously for months and months and months. So you could imagine that how much knowledge has been destroyed. And still, the credit or the gratitude goes to the great guardians of knowledge, the saints and sages and the teachers who tried to preserve this knowledge in several ways, in manuscript forms, where things are written in a palm leaf, or the original paper with ink. And this has been still preserved in secret libraries today. A lot of knowledge was migrated to Philippines, Indonesia, China, and we could still see there that the Indian or the Hindu practices are still seen over there in those different countries, are practiced over there because of the influence of all these knowledge that were migrated to all these different countries. Now, these Vedas, or this original body of knowledge, was passed down in a system. It was passed down to the saints and the sages. And in the Indian history, we have so many saints and sages of yoga. And from this, it was passed to kings who were administrators, the righteous kings, who worked for welfare of the society. And from the kings, it was passed down to physicians, healers. In ancient times, we didn't have doctors, but we had these healers. And from the healers, it was passed down to the common people. So now let us understand from this Veda, how did yoga develop? How yoga came into picture. So we could again say that even prior to 5,000 years before, we could say somewhere 10,000 years before, a few people, they formed certain systems of philosophies because they were not happy with the mundane life. Just wake up, eat, and then go through the life and die. And they thought that what is the meaning of living this life without understanding the purpose, without understanding the real meaning of this existence. So these ancient people, they started to question, think, and form different ideas. And the reason for thinking, for questioning, or to doubt the ways of living was to find out the reason of our suffering. That why do we suffer? And is there a way out of suffering, of sadness, of sorrow? Now we are born in this world. This is the human body. And we keep on suffering through the life. The life is like day and night. Just like day and night, there is happiness and sorrow. Just like day is followed by night and night followed by day, in the same way, happiness is followed by sadness, and then again sadness, happiness, again some sadness. So it's like a cycle, a never-ending cycle. And to experience a little bit of happiness, we go through so much of sorrow and suffering. So these thinkers, they wanted to understand the real way out of suffering, how to get rid of suffering completely. And they questioned. They made several ideas. They had arguments and a lot of comparative analysis and comparative study to come to a conclusion. So at the end, 6 systems of philosophies were formed. How many systems? 6 systems of philosophies were formed. And how ancient they are? Even more than 5,000 years before these 6 systems of philosophies were formed. If you want to write down exactly the word, it's called in Sanskrit as Hindu philosophies. Hindu means this India, okay? Because sometimes people think Hindu would only mean a religion. Hindu is not just a religion. Hindu is a way of looking at life. Hindu is a way of analysis, a way of thinking. So there are 6 systems of Hindu philosophies. What is a philosophy? A philosophy is a point of view. You can look at life from a point, from an angle. So various systems, 6 systems were formed in order to look at life from different angles, in order to reduce suffering and completely eradicate suffering. So Hindu philosophies were formed. Now, I can get into the Sanskrit names of the Hindu philosophy in short, but I want to explain you these 6 systems of philosophy. Okay, so the first philosophy which was formed is called Nyaya. Okay, I can put there in the chat for you. The second is Vaisheshika. Okay, look over there. The first is Nyaya and the second is Vaisheshika. Now, these were thinkers that used deep reflection, power of mind to understand atoms, atomic reality, to understand molecules and atoms. Means these were physicists who worked with physics. Through deep contemplation, meditation, they wanted to understand how the sun is formed, the galaxies, the Milky Way, and these 5 elements, which is earth, water, fire, air, and space, that how these 5 elements interact with each other and how this world is formed, how this body is formed. So these are first 2 philosophies. Okay. And today in this world, we have few very genuine masters of Nyaya and Vaisheshika. Okay. So these first 2 philosophies are like a pair. They have a lot of similarities, but they also have differences. Many differences are there. And the third one is called the Sankhya philosophy. Okay, Sankhya. Sometimes it's also called as Samkhya with an M, or it is called as Sankhya philosophy. And these thinkers who follow the Sankhya school of philosophy, they reflect on 2 principles of life. One is the material principle, which is destructible, including this body that is destructible and changeful. So they study this material principle, and then they study or reflect upon the principle that does not change, which is consciousness. So consciousness is taken into consideration, and the material principle is also taken into consideration. So this Sankhya school is we can call it as an atheist school. Atheist means there is no consideration of a supreme higher power, which sometimes in the Western countries, you may call it as God. Okay. I will come to it, this concept of God. So this is the third school. Now the fourth school is yoga. Yoga is a school of philosophy that also studies the reason of suffering and how to come out of suffering. And this school of yoga is based in psychic meditation. It is a very sophisticated, a very organized, systematic path of psychic evolution, psychic meditation. Through the mind, you can free yourself. You study your mind and you observe your mind to come to a higher dimension of consciousness. But this yoga is neither atheist, means it does not believe that it is a school that rejects God or a school that accepts God. It accepts everything. It is universal. And this school of yoga, it intermingles with other schools as well. You will see yoga in Sankhya. You will also see yoga in the other two schools of Nyaya and Vaisheshika, the first two schools which I mentioned. So yoga is like everywhere. And yoga was also in the original Veda. Okay. So all these schools that I'm mentioning to you have come from the original Veda, the original body of knowledge. So these philosophers and thinkers, they took Veda as the main foundation, and still they made various schools with differences. So yoga is everywhere in so many different schools of philosophies. But a great saint, a great sage, who is called Patanjali. Patanjali is a great saint who is said to exist, or he was said to exist around 2,500 years before from now. Okay, so he was able to compile yoga, give it a system, because yoga was everywhere, scattered in so many ways, so many parts. Now, Sage Patanjali gave a system, and he made a compilation, which is right now known as the Yoga Sutra of Patanjali. I've written here on the chat, Yoga Sutra of Patanjali. Okay. This is the compilation of Sage Patanjali to explain yoga, taking Veda as the origin. What is the origin of this book or all these philosophies? The Veda, the original source. Now, in this Yoga Sutra of Patanjali, which is a very important yoga text. And there are hundreds of yoga texts, but this is one main text to study. It is in original Sanskrit. All these philosophies are in Sanskrit. So a person should have knowledge of Sanskrit to some extent, grammar of Sanskrit. And then you can analyze every word, because grammar is so important to have that analytical understanding. The language is so important. So the original language, Sanskrit, is dying. People don't want to study, they don't want to learn. Yoga teachers need to know some Sanskrit. It's very important. Well, but this Yoga Sutras of Patanjali is a book on human mind and psychology. How is the human mind? What are the problems that we face? The thoughts, the ego, the problems in our daily life, relationships, and how to come out of it. Everything is given in this book, the Yoga Sutra of Patanjali. But we don't take the modern commentary. Means there is modern explanation by various modern people. We actually go to the 7th century, the 10th century, the 12th century, and we take the authentic and verified. Verified means it should be questioned. There should be verification done that is this true. So a lot of verification has to be done before studying the explanation of the Yoga Sutra. And that comes from the ancient masters. It's in the original language of Sanskrit. So this Yoga Sutra of Patanjali is one of the book of yoga, one of the book of yoga. Now let us move ahead. Okay. The 5th school is called Mimamsa. Okay, I have put it over here, and if you can't take the spelling, you can listen to my pronunciation. Mimamsa. Okay, Mimamsa. It is a school of rituals, various rituals. Now, what are these rituals? Rituals are a perfect combination of sounds with certain elements like water, fire. So you mix the sound with an element, and then you bring emotions, okay, and various other elements are put into consideration to make a ritual. For example, a fire ceremony. Okay, it's a ritual where there is fire, there is wood, there is mixing of elements, then there are certain mantras and sounds so that an effect is produced. So our Indian Hindu life is also based in many rituals. For example, when we get a baby, we have a ritual for that. When a woman gets pregnant, there is a ritual for that. When that baby becomes 2 years old, there is again a ritual. When the baby is 5 years old, there is again a ritual. When you buy a new house, you are entering in a new place, there is a ritual. In your daily life as well, there are many small rituals. So this is something that is within the Hindu lifestyle, rituals, okay, in order to bring that effect, certain effects. Okay. So Mimamsa inside it also has elements of yoga as well. Okay. And there is one more school, the sixth school, which is the Vedanta school, which I also study very closely. Okay, Vedanta school. Okay. Now, this Vedanta school is a school which studies the pure consciousness, which usually in Sanskrit, they call it as Brahman. Okay. Brahman is one universal principle considered to be the source of everything. The main source of everything is this Brahman principle. It's a principle from which the world, the entire universe, took birth. Okay. And it studies this one principle, but in connection with it, it also studies this thing that we call it as I, the soul. Okay. What we call it as I, or this consciousness, or the soul, we also study that. Okay. And this is a theist school that believes in one supreme principle, not God. It's a principle. There is no image or there is no picture. It is a principle, a source. So there is a very detailed study, very, very detailed study in Vedanta. Okay. Now, all these six systems, they want to get rid of suffering. Now, let us look at yoga and the connection with some of these schools. Whenever you want to study yoga traditionally, you must know or study the Sankhya school. You cannot separate the Sankhya and yoga, because yoga gets its theoretical base from the Sankhya school. Okay? Yoga is an experiential school where you experience, cognize. But to give a theory, the theory is taken from Sankhya school. Yoga also could be connected to the sixth school of Vedanta very closely. And one of the most famous texts of yoga from Vedanta tradition is called Bhagavad Gita. Okay, if you know, how many of you know, just hands up, just want to know, how many of you know Bhagavad Gita? Okay, I will type it over there. A very important book to understand yoga. I gave you two names. One is Yoga Sutra of Patanjali, and the second is Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita. A very important text which has 18 chapters on yoga within this text. And it was made 5,000 years before, means it came into existence 5,000 years before. And the main teacher of Bhagavad Gita is Krishna, which the Hindus also take him as the God, or even they take him as the one principle, supreme principle, universal principle. Okay. But not necessary that you also have to take it in that way. What is more important is to understand the yoga in Bhagavad Gita and the Yoga Sutra of Patanjali. These are the two main books. There are hundreds of books, various books from various traditions, because even in these six systems of philosophies, there are sub-philosophies. There is a lot to analyze. So friends, first of all, the language Sanskrit is important, very important. And to know the history of yoga from the source, which I told you, the Veda, is important. To know the history of Indian subcontinent is also very important. To know yoga. And then the works of Sage Patanjali, the message of Sage Patanjali, and Krishna is also very important to know yoga. The first teacher who explained this work of Sage Patanjali is called Vyasa. Vyasa is the first teacher of yoga. You can also call him as the first teacher of yoga, Vyasa. We call him as Bhagavan Vyasa. Bhagavan Vyasa. Bhagavan means a supreme, somebody very respected, Bhagavan. Bhagavan Vyasa is the first teacher of yoga. So all these things are extremely important to analyze, to get into details, and to study yoga according to the original tradition, not mixing it with the recent yoga that we see today. So this yoga, which is inside these 6 systems of Indian philosophies, the Yoga Sutra, the Vedanta, and the Sankhya, has various names. And I will give you a few names of yoga and its meaning in short. Okay. So there is Sankhya Yoga, and the book for Sankhya Yoga is Yoga Sutra. Okay. Sankhya Yoga. Okay. Also, Sankhya philosophy could be understood through another book called Sankhya Karika. And there are various books on Sankhya. So one thing is to understand Sankhya. Okay. And then its connection with yoga, to understand Sankhya Yoga in its entirety. And then there is Patanjali Yoga, which is also through the study of Yoga Sutras again, which is nothing but Sankhya Yoga itself. Patanjali Yoga and Sankhya Yoga would also mean the same. Okay. So classical yoga, traditional yoga would also mean Patanjali Yoga and Sankhya Yoga. Okay. Now there is also yoga to be understood from the viewpoint of Vedanta, the 6th school, which studies the supreme principle. So that is called Yoga Vedanta or Vedanta Yoga. Okay, you can put it, juggle it the way you want, Yoga Vedanta or Vedanta Yoga. Now within the yoga, within Vedanta, within Bhagavad Gita, there are also 4 more types of yoga. One is Raja Yoga. The other, okay, let me first explain you Raja Yoga. Raja Yoga is yoga of meditation. Okay. There is 8 steps to reach this Raja Yoga. And these 8 steps are also sometimes called as Ashtanga. Ashtanga Yoga. This Raja Yoga is also sometimes called as Ashtanga. It is 8 steps to meditation. Okay, 8 steps to meditation is Raja Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga. Then there is Karma Yoga, which is yoga of action. Okay. Karma means action. We all make actions. Right now I'm speaking, it's an action. So we are all making actions. But this Karma Yoga will teach you how to make actions in order to stop suffering. So it is a very detailed study of how to make actions. Very beautiful study, which is within Bhagavad Gita. Krishna explains all the steps of Karma Yoga, how we must act. How we must act as a mother, as a father, as a business person, as a human in this world, how we should make an action. Whatever you could be anything. You could be a sister, you could be a mother, you could be a friend, you could be anything. This will teach you to make mindful actions in your relationships, in your business, in your work, your personal life, your health. Very detailed. And as a human being, what is your main duty? Your main dharma, this word dharma. There is also yoga of dharma. Within Karma Yoga, we also have the yoga of dharma. So all this is analyzed. And there is also Jnana Yoga. Jnana. Sometimes in Sanskrit, people call it as Jnana, but we should say Jnana. Jnana. Okay. Jnana means knowledge. This is yoga of knowledge. Okay. To understand the deep reality through analysis. So what is knowledge? Something very simple. If I show you, what is this? This is a pen. You know this is a pen. This is knowledge, isn't it? You have the knowledge, this is a pen. And you have the knowledge that this is a mobile phone, isn't it? This is knowledge. Then who am I? What is I that I call I? Is it ego? Is it my eyes, ears? Is it what I'm feeling? What is this I? From where this I came and where this I will go? All this is studied in Jnana Yoga, the yoga of knowledge, in order to come out of suffering. And the last is the yoga of love, which actually mingles with everything. You cannot separate. Yoga of love is bhakti. Bhakti means devotion, not religious devotion, I mean. It is deep love you feel for life. So this is also practiced. Okay. Now these are some names of yoga, traditional yoga, and my work is to teach. My work is to show you how to understand all this in detail. This is what I have been doing since past 15 years. And with growing up in this atmosphere where bhakti was introduced to me since I was in the womb of my mother. Jnana was introduced to me at a very young age. And I'm very fortunate to meet certain teachers and masters. And this is how I continue to keep on spreading the real meaning of yoga. Now, yoga went through a massive commercialization because of one aspect which is within yoga, is called asana. Okay. So asana could also be understood in a traditional way. In the ancient yoga of Patanjali, in Yoga Sutra, asana means to not move, to get in a meditative pose and just sit with your spine straight, back straight, and just become still. That is the meaning of asana in the Patanjali yoga. And the most recent text on asana, or the school of yoga which talks about some asana, where asana is put into movements, that is called Hatha Yoga. Hatha Yoga was founded, although we should not say that it was founded in the 11th century, but it is even prior to it. But in the 11th century, it was given a proper system by some teachers, great teachers. Okay, Matsyendranath. If you can't note it, it's okay. Matsyendranath is the founder of Hatha Yoga. Matsyendranath, the Matsyendranath tradition of Hatha Yoga, physiological yoga. And it is also a philosophy. It is also a very deep science to understand, which has some body movements in it to study, to learn. So now, this teachers whom I have studied with, the teachers from India, sometimes we study in Hindi, in Sanskrit, in different languages, Sanskrit as the base. So they speak about all these original yoga. But then, as the world started to change, in the past 30 years, especially, we have seen many new modern yoga. First of all, I don't know why they put the word yoga. Okay, maybe it's very fancy. Yoga word is very attractive, maybe. So they start to put various types of yoga, which has no connection with any of this that I explained to you. No connection at all. It is some set of exercise where you move your body. Unfortunately, even some teachers who were responsible to guard yoga tradition, they also made it commercial because of monetary reasons, unfortunately. So yoga became extremely commercialized. Many people 30, 40 years before came to India. They learned some very tough exercises, which was named as yoga, some sort of yoga. And then they went to the West, made it very Western, made it very commercialized. And because of the marketing power, this yoga has spread all over the world. It's a good thing that people are exercising, they're taking care of the health. It's very nice. We should do that. There is nothing wrong in it, but the essence is missing. The study, the analysis, it is missing. There is so much depth in this term yoga that people have not understood, and they have made it just some set of exercise, which they call it some sort of flow, some sort of gymnastics, some sort of power. All these names are attached. So how can a tradition which is so deep, an intellectual tradition which is so profound, how can it become so small and narrow, where everybody is inventing some or the other type of yoga today? Their own schools of yoga, their own type of yoga. Very good if you are wanting to spread this yoga. But there has to be a tradition, a verification. There has to be a lot of analysis. And then we could say that this is traditional yoga, where there is no competition of the body. There is no aggression towards the body, where you don't get stuck only with the body. Evolve. Use the body as a tool to evolve, to understand the mind, to understand the consciousness, to understand your thoughts, and so many profound things that are related to this I. The problem in modern yoga is that it gets stuck with a type of some movement. It is very good to keep the body fit, but when it becomes extremely glamorous and it loses values and ethics and principles, when this yoga does not teach you how to live a life, what to eat, how to train the mind, how to train your children, how to teach your children, how to look at the world, and how to bring a social change in form of growth. We need this yoga that helps us at an individual level, that helps the society at a social level, helps the nature and the environment. And that yoga that can eradicate suffering, poverty, injustice, and it can bring real education. So, friends, this was a class where I wanted to put emphasis on traditional yoga because you're already exposed to the modern yoga, various names, and also you know how yoga has become extremely commercial today. It is not wrong to charge. It is wrong to charge and not to give the knowledge. So what I feel is that today there are learners all around the world, but we don't have enough teachers to reach them. Or maybe the world has become so competitive that people like us, we are not able to reach you due to the marketing competition. It's such a competition. I can become the best teacher or the guru if I have the funds to put in the marketing. And I can speak anything then. I can, through my social media and through my marketing, I can make you believe. And this is the power of marketing today, which is unfortunately taking us away from the tradition of yoga and knowledge. And not only yoga, but so many different knowledge in this world are suppressed because of commercialization. So any questions from your side? I am over here to share, serve whatever questions you have. Okay. From the students or friends of different countries, your feedback, or you want to speak something, say something.
Jeenal, I just put a note in the chat. Where do the Upanishads sit in that philosophy?
Yes. I'll explain you. Okay. So within the Vedanta tradition, which is the 6th school of Indian philosophy, we have various texts to study, various texts. And these various texts to study are called the Upanishads. Okay. And it is said that there are 180 Upanishads within Vedanta system. Okay. Upanishad would mean to sit close to a teacher and study. That is the meaning of Upanishad. To sit close to the teacher and study closely. You can also say in a traditional Indian way, to sit at the feet of the teacher, to surrender the ego and to sit and study from a teacher, which very fortunately I have got that opportunities wherever I could. I always went and studied with some teachers, and I'm very grateful for that. That is Upanishad. Okay, so in Vedanta, there are 180. Okay. Kata Lister, thank you, highlighting the importance of finding yoga tradition behind. I'm very grateful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Kata. Thank you very much. Yes. So any questions, anything that is troubling you, anything you want to know, and I will try my best to share whatever you want to ask or share. Please feel free to switch on your mic and say something or type. Okay. Can you recommend readings in English? A very difficult question. It's difficult because right now, when many modern books on Amazon, Flipkart, so many, isn't it? In so many different books, so many books. Well, I will try to find, because usually when I give my students something to read, it would be verified, okay, which would be something that I verify, I compile, and then I know. So it's difficult right now to really recommend anything, but something that is close to my heart is from Swami Vivekananda. If you want to study Swami Vivekananda, this would appeal a Western mind, and still you would not lose the essence. Okay, you would not lose the essence. Now, the school that I come from, we follow a scientific yoga lineage where everything is so well verified. Even asanas are so scientifically verified, and we have our internal books and material, which is something that is difficult for you to understand and also get it in the West. So I would recommend this Swami Vivekananda, and you could actually take all the 4 yogas which I mentioned, his books are there on Jnana Yoga, on Bhakti Yoga, on Raja Yoga. His books are there on the internet available. And also, which other yoga is missing? Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga. So the reason for meeting over here was that, of course, I would like to invite you or anybody you know who are genuinely interested in studying yoga as a tradition, as a lineage, an old lineage, also who is genuinely wanting to understand asana in a profound way, in the original way, in the scientific way. So for those who want to study, we always have courses available. The next course is starting from 11th of April. It is a 2-month course, and you have to give 90 minutes every day to study directly in live, if possible, with me and also some of my team members. Okay, so no, Linda, the asana is not, or the teacher training is not only focused on asana, because as I just explained you, that you have to study the history, the background, and go into also the vocabulary training, the Sanskrit words, and then get into analysis of all this. And side by side, you also study asana, which has the scientific understanding, scientific methodology, the breath, the body, the emotions. We call it as psychophysiological training of asana. Okay, psychophysiological, not only physiological, because your body is also connected to your mind. This is very important. When you're doing asana, you must also study your mind and your emotions. So you cannot separate the asanas from your mind. So this is what, in our 200-hour teacher training course, we also focus on the mind, and then with the foundation of the mind, you will study asanas. Also taking nutrition, diet, psychology, the Sanskrit, everything in consideration, so that in those 2 months, you get a very strong foundation. And from there, you can even continue your education in therapy, in psychology, in mental health. Maybe you want to help cancer patients, you want to help pregnant women, you want to help children. But for that, you must have the main foundation to understand that child, to understand that pregnant woman, or to understand a disease. So science and tradition has to be put together. Okay, thank you, Fabienne. Thank you, Fabienne. Yes, Linda, I wonder, because 200 hours seems a short time to cover everything you have talked about. Yes, of course. Well, I'm studying since past 25 years, 25 years. And also, I could say from I was born as a child, I kept on receiving this knowledge. Okay. Technically from 25 years with book and pen, but 15 years I just studied being with my parents and the community. So in this 200 hours, with my teaching experience of 15 years or so, I try to compile everything in such a way that you get a very good foundation to start logically questioning, to start logically thinking in that direction of yoga. So that strong foundation needs this first step. Now, some of our students are here who are graduating tomorrow. I'm very, very happy for them. No, there is Simone, there is Carla, there is also Catherine from USA, and Stephanie and Beatrice, and so many of them are here. And if I ask them today that, what did you learn they would say so many things new because there is so much to always share. It is infinite ocean. So we start with 200 hours as a foundation. And unfortunately, Linda, I have to name it as a 200-hour, so that it is so monopolized by the Western influence that if I don't have that 200 hours and I don't follow that norm, people don't want to study with me. They want that thing, 200 hours, the certification, all that. Well, we are providing all that because if we don't provide that, it is not easy to survive today in this competition of yoga. And a big thanks goes to Zoom, the online platform, and people like you and our WLY team who makes it possible. So yes, you're most welcome. You could contact your direct teachers. I don't know from whom you have come, Linda, or the other people. I'm seeing Evans listening with a lot of concentration. Also Kata, I'm seeing so many people here from Melanie, Patricia. So you could contact your respective people from whom you have come, who are actually our WLY family members. You can contact them because they are also lead teachers. One of the lead teachers along with me, we teach together and we are a team, but I am the lead teacher of philosophy who will take you step by step. So you can contact them, or you don't know whom to contact, you can write an email to wiselivingyoga.center@gmail.com. If you're writing me the email and you know from whom you have come, please write their name so I know from whom you have come. Okay. Any other questions, any other feedback? Oh, there are some people giving me good testimonials. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Simone and Rina. Thank you so much, Anna. Great. Lovely. What a nice class. Oh, you have come from Carrie. Yeah, Carrie is a wonderful friend, student, and a teacher of Wise Living Yoga as well. Great. Yes. Any other thing that you would like to ask? From where do you come, Patricia? You can listen to me? Oh,
yes.
please.
I come from Anna Renau.
Oh, so you're listening to me in English right now or in Spanish?
No, in English.
Perfect. Very nice.
You explain it very well. I understand it, everything. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Great. It seems you're out of question. No question for asanas, modern yoga. Evans, from whom do you come? Are you listening to me directly or you're listening to translation? Maybe listening to translation, isn't it? Great. So friends, thank you for coming. Thank you for your presence. It was very nice and a wonderful evening with all of you. I hope that you come again, we can meet again, study again. And anybody who is interested in studying traditional yoga, please do direct them to our school, and you're most welcome with any queries, any questions. And a big, big thanks to Nina, our Portuguese translator. She's over there in the name of Melanie. And a big, big thanks to Anna, to Carrie, Leanne, Also, Stephanie, thank you so much for all the hard work and translation as well. Thank you to Vanessa. Thank you so much, Leanne. And also our past WLY alumni for joining and supporting Catherine, Lena, and also Carla, also Julia, and so many of you. And Joelle, thank you so much for coming through your sister, Fabienne. I hope we continue our discussion in the next class. I will maybe announce a next event in the next week, and you are most welcome to join. Okay. And thank you, everybody. Let us end with one Om chant. Maybe in the next class, I can explain you what is Om and Namaste and all these Sanskrit words. Okay. Let us take some time to sit with our eyes closed and breathe gently. Carmen, thank you. Thank you so much for coming as well. I'm sorry if I miss anyone's name. Beatrice as well. Yeah. Take a deep breath in. Om. Shanti. 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 Hari Om. Thank you again. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your time. Have a beautiful day or a beautiful evening. Thank you, everybody. Namaste.
Merci, Jeenal.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you to Julie as well for coming and sending all your students. Maybe they can contact you directly if they're interested. Yes. Who was saying something? Stephanie. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
How was it?
Good, good. Well, I hope. My translation, at least.
Good, good. Bravo. Well done. Nina, thank you so much.
Thank
Good
you.
try.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you so much.
Was
Merci
good.
à tous et à toutes.
It was good. Yeah. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. It was a great talk.
So nice to know you enjoyed it. I was a bit nervous that if I would make you uncomfortable.
Oh, it was very pleasant. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Beatrice, you're awake this time. Good.
Bonjour,
Yes.
Béatrice. Micro.
Ah, yes. I see that, it was jumping the internet, but I could follow. Thank you so much.
Perfect.
Nice to see
I hope you learned something new today as well, but you know many things already. The most senior dedicated student, Beatrice.
Yeah.
Meet her. Great, lovely. So Evans is your student, Stephanie? Evans?
Evans et mon étudiant Isabelle. Still online.
Oh.
Isabelle, donc qui est là. Il y avait aussi Marie-Lou et Émilie.
Okay.
Voilà.
Oh, all the French. Wow,
Yes.
we have French people. So nice from France. That is good. That is good. Very nice. How do I say thank you in French?
Merci.
Merci, 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 merci. And thank you, Carmen. Thank you for coming as well. Again and again. So thank you so much. Okay, so I will sign out. Sign out from here.
Bye-bye.
And see you soon. Bye-bye. Namaste.